Yo, hello. Is there anybody in there? Just not if you can hear me. Is there anyone home? Hmm. I wonder if Dad's just sitting there furiously squeezing the squeaky pickle. Just like vein popping out of his forehead. His eyes are all bloodshot, and he's just sweating as he's squeezing this pickle and staring into its eyes. Teeth gritted, furrowed brow. Don't ask me why Girk's fucking muted. What am I, his mother? He wants to squeeze his pickle longer than let him. The man's got to squeeze. Jay Fresh has a question. Let's get him up here. Oh, there's Jay Fresh, but he's muted too. Oh shit.
All right. Hello. What's up?
I go back. I reclaim my time. How you doing?
I spilled tea all over my fucking keyboard and desk, like right when I went to go start the stream.
Oh, I went ahead and described to the listeners how you were furiously squeezing that squeezy chicken.
Oh, nice.
Like red in the face,
Just,
just
just
forearm
giving
bulging.
it the.
Just squeak, 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 squeak. Just over and over.
Yeah, to the point of exhaustion.
Right, yeah, bloodshot eyes, sweat dripping down your nose.
Yeah, I don't see what's wrong with it. That's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what I do with that thing.
Anyway, how's everyone doing? And I'm sorry for being so late. I was draining my keyboard. I switched it out with my old one. Fortunately, it didn't short anything out, which is cool. I think the Ducky keyboards have like a fail fuse or something.
Well, the little membranes and stuff too. It's kind of like they make keyboards kind of hard to fuck up like that these days.
I remember when I was like a little kid, if you spilled like a drop of water in your keyboard, your whole computer was fucked forever.
Oh yeah, well that was because they were. What was that plug called that we had to use? DB9 or some shit.
It was like P2 or some shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
a lot of current running through that wire. Now we're like 3 volts. Psh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the little 5-pin one, right? I don't know what the fuck they're called. DIN?
Yeah, I never knew what it was called. I just called it the mouse cable.
PS/2? That sounds familiar.
Max,
Yep.
why'd you buy anything from Corsair?
6-pin DIN connector.
There you go. They have similar things like that for cameras still. Most of them use DB9 for like RS-232.
Really? My camera. Well, I only have one camera, but it's like HDMI. Some sort of weird HDMI connection.
These are like hardcore fucking like security cameras and shit.
Are we going to talk about Gammastrike? Let's get some questions going. Let's get this show on the road, because we don't have time to fuck around, because I missed 30 minutes of this already. Because, I'd love to listen to you talk about cameras, but also, just now.
They're really cool, though.
Well, next time I need to get one, I'll ask you which webcam I should buy. I actually hate the one I have. Oh, okay, awesome.
I mean, either that or like a literal like DSLR or whatever the fuck they're called.
I landed somewhere in between those two things.
It'll work, but they have that. You know what though? There's some decent, especially nowadays. Now that billionaires needed webcams, they made some $1,000 webcams.
Yeah, they did.
So you can get some real nice webcams these days with really good optics. Like it's pretty surprising. You can get a solid like 1080p out of a webcam with not tons of power and shit. You could probably get a 4K even, but those are going to be really expensive.
Yeah, those are not cheap.
Like 4K 60, but you could just do 1080 60 and
that's what mine does, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and just have a tiny Gherk sitting there. Yeah, I mean, you don't need fucking 4K for that.
I mean, people
can't hear anything, so
people do want to see my pores.
They do. I get that. But, the thing
Could either of you two go in today's close above VN? What about it? Like, why is it possible? Or VN probably did move up.
I'm going to check.
Actually, VN and SPXW moved down, but we don't have the OI update yet, so it might have moved up.
Right.
We'd have to look in the morning to be 100% certain.
Yeah.
But it does look like it moved down a little. I mean, it's
down
not
on it too.
impossible to close above VN.
Yeah.
More of the amount, but VNM is like not relevant right now. I mean, it is. It's relevant, but like I mentioned this earlier in the week. Um, it's just there's so little interest out on the AM contract that I don't think the neutrals there matter that much right now. Like everyone's focus should be on the SPXW contract because that's what's driving all of this.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna bring you up here.
It's more complex than I had thought.
Yeah.
So, why is the monthly contract so irrelevant?
Well, there's like no delta on it. Like nobody's trading it. Like if we go, yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess you got to go through quite a bit of data on it. But if we look out here, you know, like delta fell off fucking hard last week into OPEX.
Where's here? You're not showing it, sharing anything.
I'm not sharing it on the Discord. Um,
And maybe my why is more of a root cause why. You know, it's like clearly they're not trading. People aren't trading. You know, trading on that monthly expiration. But why aren't they?
Do you want to see a good visualization of that?
I don't want to see your little dark.
I mean, I do, but whatever.
why are they not trading the monthly contracts?
Yes.
Because there's a persistence of risk ahead of us, like 7 days. Also, 60 and 90-day imply like historic volatilities are still really high. So there's a bunch of reasons to not be trading this contract. But I mean, the fact of the matter is they're just not trading it as heavily. Like Delta here is still bigger. It's bigger on major strikes, but they're not shorting a lot of vol out here, right? Vega neutral's been pretty fucking just flat for I mean like the last since like May OPEX. Vega neutral's moved from 606 to 677, 6077. And then if we go look at like the volatility out on hold on, I might need to switch environments here for a second. Oh wait, no I don't, because we have volatility. We have the new volatility on the beta boys. Yeah, if you look at volatility out here on the SPXW contract, we're starting to get some selling, like way the fuck out of the money over here. Like, but this is like 2026, right? They're not selling any of the volatility this year out on the SPX chain. There's a little bit for this month's expiration, I think, right here. There's like but those are both like sub 5,000. And those are tiny. Those are little positions.
So, Gherk,
Yeah.
I have another thing too. If you look, I posted 2 images in the chat.
Yeah.
The first one is SPX Gamma, you know, near the money. That's what I was going for. And then the next one is SPXW Gamma near the money. And you can already see there's a massive difference in how much Gamma is near the money on SPXW versus SPX.
Yeah. This is. Are you doing by expiry?
No, I'm just doing by strike.
Oh, you're just doing the Greeks by strike page. Yeah.
By expiry, I'm sure it'll look a lot more apparent.
Yeah, I would. I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna pull it up by expiry so people can see. So this is the gamma on the SPXW contract, and this is gamma falling off on the hold on SPX contract, which is all out on like 7/18. But I think more importantly is actually the delta or the Vega. Like if we look at Vega, on SPX, right? It's all out in like September, especially when dealing with VN. And then if we look at Vega on the SPXW contract, that's a bug. We're gonna have to get that sorted. Oh, there's a little bit out on the 30th, but more sensitivity to Vega than the SPX monthly contract, which is out here on the on that expiration. So as far as like which contract has more near-term Vega sensitivity, it's the SPXW contract. Also, SPXW has a shitload of delta on the 30th, and all of the delta on the SPX monthly contract is on the monthly expiry. So both of those factors are a big part of it, and then also that all of the volatility being shorted is on the like in the short term, right? Like if you look here, there's a lot of vol shorting on the SPXW contract, and most of this like into the end of the month. This is all like 6:30 expiry, which you can see if you go over here to the smile. You can see where they're selling those contracts out of the money down at like 5,500.
How do you scroll out the top slider?
Yeah, that switches the expiration and overlays it on the 0 DTE. So you can look at like 0 DTE and then the next day. And so yeah, so I don't think and I did try to tell people earlier about that in the week. I don't think the SPX Vega neutral is super important here. And this is weird. It's a weird environment to be in where all of the interest is so heavily focused on the monthly contract. But don't forget, right after the end of, not only is it end of quarter, right, but right after the end of quarter, we have the two biggest macroeconomic catalysts, right? We have the tax bill and the debt ceiling, and we have the expiration of, or well, the deadline for reciprocal tariffs.
July 8th, right?
Yeah. And they're supposed to have the bill before that.
Okay.
But if they don't get the bill passed, right? If it doesn't, I mean, we'll see tomorrow if it gets out of the Senate. If it doesn't get out of the Senate, it's going to go back to committee, right? Which means it doesn't get out of the Senate until the second week of July. And then it goes to the House. And if it goes to committee in the House, again, we could be looking at like August, which puts us like right on the fucking X date for the Treasury. So I think that's like a huge risk that's ahead of us. Just things getting hung up in bureaucratic red tape alone could really really like put us in a situation where we come close to defaulting on debt.
I mean, doesn't that, in your opinion, doesn't that bill put us at a huge risk regardless? Like if it gets hung up, yes, bureaucratic red tape and defaulting on debt, but if it gets passed,
Yeah, so there's
are we-
other issues if it gets passed, but they are further out. I mean, immediately the Treasury will be able to refund. That will probably have an impact on the bond markets because obviously it's another 3.6 trillion in debt getting tacked on to our already massive deficits that we just got our debt downgraded because of. So it's not a great look that we're going to do that, but I think in the near term it's not as bad. But I think if it causes liquidity to dry up further in the treasury markets, then it could be a very big problem.
Gotcha.
I feel like the first little bit of it will be shamelessly bullish.
Yeah,
Everything's shamelessly bullish. Like
Yeah.
this morning's data sucked.
Another wrinkle to consider is the timeline for when the Basel III changes go through. So the Fed has recommended changes to the supplemental leverage ratio,
That was yesterday, yeah.
fiduciary leverage ratio. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know when those go through, but that is the whole point of that is to make it easier for banks to buy all the debt that we're about to issue.
Yep.
Just keep kicking that can down the road, huh?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it
well,
allows banks to to invest more. I mean, it's not like
no,
necessarily a terrible thing.
no, it
The
is. It's a
banks are
super terrible thing. Every time they've ever reduced the requirements for SLR, the banks blow themselves up, and the taxpayers foot the bill. This would be like the fourth fucking time. Um, where
Maybe
they
I'm just an
this
optimist.
this well, it makes their portfolios massively more risk sensitive.
Yeah, I know because they're all super leveraged.
Yeah. Well, but then they get a leverage even more with lower capital
yeah, but so
requirements.
the issue is that they're currently not even at the current limit. Like they have pretty decent leverage ratios right now. The whole purpose of this is not so that they can lend more. They already have the capacity to lend more. There's just no good places to lend it, so they're not doing it. The entire point of this exercise is to allow them to buy more treasuries because treasuries are not included in that leverage in the denominator of that lever or the numerator of that leverage ratio.
They are not. They are not factored
Hmm.
in.
So they're the treasuries are going to weigh down on that number, and they don't want that number to creep up to the limit and cause frictions in the treasury market. So this is nothing to do with like unleashing like American, you know, growth. It's just to buy the debt.
Yep. And if they buy $3.6 trillion of debt, they're going to be significantly more leveraged, and they're going to be far more risk exposed to
So
things that we already expect to happen, like I don't know, inflation rocketing up into the back half of the year.
yeah,
I will
nothing
say that
changed on
the
all the fun stuff.
modifications to SLR are not extremely drastic.
No,
Um,
they just went down. They were higher than the Basel III recommendations, and they basically just lowered them to the Basel III recommendations for the biggest banks.
and some of the Fed members still contest it. Remember that they do have a lot of like hold to maturity risk on their books already. And a round of Fed rate cuts and banks buying up more treasuries with potential inflation in the long run could recreate the same scenario that killed SVB and force the Fed to bail out the rest of the regional banks and some of the GSIBs.
And some of the G-SIBs.
Not all the GSIBs were in such great shape right around the time of SVB. I mean, JPM was fine, but like Wells had some issues. Citibank had some issues. There were some. Who else was really kind of PNC had some issues. They're not really a GSIB, but they're close.
What's PNC?
They're a bank.
Oh, thanks. I figured that.
What else do you want to know? It's
I think they bought out like BBVA, which was like a big
Okay.
Mexican bank.
So
Yeah, U.S. Bank and Schwab. Schwab had other issues that got misreported, but because they're largely broker services. But that's why we went long Schwab back then.
on Gammastrike, what should we be looking for as assuming that this grind up into the weekly Vega neutral gamma max continues.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Grand,
Gherkin's
grand.
been, I forget how many days you've been talking about a pullback now, 2 or 3.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to happen before the end of the month. It could. I think after the end of the month, there's a far better chance of that occurring. Because of all that delta that falls off on the monthly
The
expiration
delta that
for
falls off and the two catalysts, yeah.
yeah. And that's why we're not seeing any delta after that come in. Like the increase in delta on the SPX chain is very slow, and most of the delta on the SPXW chain. I mean, if you look further out, there's fucking nothing. Like SPXW, all the delta is like gone by fucking 6:30.
Yeah.
There's a little bit coming, but it's so small. And yeah, a lot of that can change after the expiration occurs, but I think there's not a lot of incentive for people to. I mean, nobody wants to buy into any of those macro catalysts. It's dangerous.
Mm.
So, but right now, I mean, we've got a bunch of charm, got a bunch of calls in the money, got a bunch of sold puts out of the money. It's just grinding us up higher. But I mean, I think like today's move above VNM not unreasonable. I mean, these aren't like gamma max or anything. They're just VN. We've moved above VN in the past. Staying above VN, that's a little harder. But that's because if you try to propagate
VN
the same
weekly?
thing, huh?
Staying above VN weekly or VN monthly is
Both,
hard.
both is hard. Staying above both of them is difficult. But I mean, we'll probably see VN on the monthly and VN on the weekly kind of merge together. Like they should end up roughly around the same level, given a few days. Like that spread will collapse because people will close the arbitrage. But in the meantime, I mean, it is difficult to perpetuate the drivers of a bull market in a environment where the MM is negative Vega. Because if you sell puts, you're selling the MM long puts, right? And you're selling the MM long puts in a scenario where they don't need to pick up upside delta, and they no longer need to buy the dip because they're negatively exposed to the Vega and then the VOMA if IV picks up on the downside move. And so basically any sell-offs that occur above Vega neutral, we're kind of back in an environment where the MM is now you're in an environment where the MM is selling the uptick and they're selling the downtick. Because I mean, like, well, they're not selling the downtick fully because there is positive gamma, but they're not like buying the downtick. So they're kind of neutral. They're kind of like just neutral. Yeah, they're neutral on the downside, and so you get sell-offs that don't really V. They just like sell off a little and stabilize, and sell off a little more and stabilize, and sell off a little more until it gets back below VN, and then the market maker buys the downtick.
So pretty much just kind of in a wait and see until the end of June.
I mean, every time we've ever tested VN, it's always been a really boring environment. You get a lot of just like grindy upside because gamma's really high. And then you don't get a lot of that upside because the market maker goes negative Vega at some point in the local trading range. And generally speaking, enough days of this, and you usually get capitulation on the long side, and you get a pullback. And if things remain bullish, VN and GM will move up, And when the market bounces, it will move to a higher point, which I mean, that is what we're already in the middle of. Like if we go back just a couple weeks, we were doing this same thing, grinding into VN every day. And then VN continued up. The market fell. Things stayed bullish. The market bounced back into VN.
Yeah. I mean, actually, we went below delta neutral. Looks like before, and then
Almost.
this
Well, we went below
bounced right
gamma
off of it.
neutral. Yeah, but we sold off. We had like a decent sell off. It was like 1.8%.
Mhm.
And it's not bad. It's not a correction, but it's like a small correction. Usually small corrections like 2% or greater, and then like largers above 3 out to 5. But I mean, it was enough of a pullback that things could reposition and we could move up to a higher level. But if we had this conversation 2 weeks ago, I've been like, we're not going to get much above VN, and I think the same is true now.
Okay.
Does that answer it?
Well, that answers it, and just helps reinforce I just, for what I've done recently, and which hasn't necessarily been ideal, but I'm glad I paid for theta.
Are you shorting shit?
It straddles, but the puts have a bit more theta.
That's good. No, that's good in this environment because generally you will get a sell-off after an extended period of testing VN. Because, I mean, up here, this is a great place for short puts to close. And I think we see some of that with the correlation with Cashfix VX. Like we've been seeing correlation just moving up for the last several days. Which is usually some of that positioning pulling back.
Do you have any plans to add that correlation to Gammastrike?
We don't have CME data yet. That's why it's still a separate tool that I show everyone.
Gotcha.
But we can, maybe do we have the core indexes? Can we pull those? Or no?
No.
Huh?
From SIBO? Like one in...
Oh, the correlation indices?
Yeah.
Ooh. I don't know. I'd have to find out.
There should be a SIBO ticker.
I'll find out.
Might be able to get those. That'd be cool.
Do they have options on them?
No.
Then why do we care?
Part of the macro view.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Why don't we just build one?
We could probably build a better one. Theirs kind of sucks. I mean, it's fine, but it kind of sucks because it's like the same thing where they base it on like a specific basket and not the entirety of the index. It's like the top 50 stocks that they choose, like proprietary stocks that they choose.
Oh, that's not biased or totally weighted in one direction or another.
No, not at all. They're totally not trying to get you to trade the things they want you to trade.
Well, that's all I got. That's been really helpful. Thanks, Kirk.
You're welcome, man.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we are in uncharted territory in terms of SPX above Vega neutral. Kind of interesting.
I mean, we've had it before.
No.
No?
But Jayfresh, I don't know if you
No.
heard the part where Gherk said the monthly contract is all but irrelevant at this point.
Until it isn't. I mean,
Until it is.
the monthly contract has never sustained above. I mean, there was one time where it popped above Vega neutral, but that was also coincided with like this really big dip in Vega neutral that like rebounded the next day.
We had a close above Vega neutral like a couple weeks ago, or two of them.
On the monthly?
Yeah, I think we
No.
had one here.
Well,
Yeah,
it
this
says
was
at
a
Vega neutral.
59.58 close.
I mean, that's essentially at Vega neutral.
Well, $10 above it, 13. And then I think we had one here.
We can go
No,
back to
no, we didn't.
since you
Okay,
two
we're
disagree. JFresh, why don't you give us?
we're talking about 1% above Vega neutral versus
That's like how far above
the
Vega neutral we are
noise.
now, right?
That's what I just said.
Oh.
Versus like trying to read the noise threshold in the past. I mean, those previous ones are tests of Vega neutral.
Oh dang, you weren't kidding.
We've
I'm scrolling
never
back.
been above.
Like,
I will say it's interesting that Vega neutral continues to drop despite us being above it. But I think that's just like at the money put selling. Or well, slightly below spot, but
I mean, I do tend to agree. I think, I mean, today the put selling was intense. Pretty much the whole day they were selling at the money and sometimes in the money puts, just smashing it up as hard against sold calls as they could. It's quite impressive that they got it as high as they did.
and there does seem to be a concerted effort to get a new all-time high before the end of the month.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, of course, they're always pushing. I mean, one interesting thing that I've noted is that in the options macro, it's quite impressive that so we had 4 trillion in calls in delta for calls on OPEX, and that dropped to about 2.6. So we lost about 1.4 trillion in delta on calls in one day, and then now that has already recovered about 800 billion of that. So over half of that has already been recovered. Now keep in mind now that like had to build up over like usually it builds up over 6 months, and we've recovered half
Yeah.
of it in like 5 days.
Well, it's because of those B-2 bombers and the pilots, and they did such a wonderful job, totally obliterating Iran's nuclear capabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Sure.
just looking at the macro page. It is kind of mind-boggling how many calls just showed up, like, over the course of 5 days.
I don't think that many
100
calls showed up. I think just a bunch of calls went in the money.
I mean, $100 billion worth of contract value. Yeah, I guess you're right with the improvement in price.
Because there's also a huge drop in puts, and if you look at the overall delta increase, it's not that crazy. It's like well within the range. It's like less. It's like about 500 billion, which is still a lot, but I mean, typically it'll do that after a big drop off. But yeah, put deltas
Fucking bottomed out.
below. Yeah,
oh,
well,
dude,
it's
that's
not
fair.
bottomed out yet, but
Put
it's getting
leverage continued to
close.
fall off
At
today.
the bottom of the chart, JFresh, it's pretty much bottomed out.
No,
Unless you're gonna have to like add a negative.
No, the bottom is
Yeah, it's
834
back here.
billion, and we're at 1 trillion. So we still have another 140 trillion, 140 billion until we bottom, which we might see tomorrow.
On what? Contract value?
Delta value.
Dude, this is why I wanted to buy Vega puts today. Fucking puts are just cheap
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, I got a lot more theta on my straddle puts than on the calls. It's the difference in price at the same expiration is ridiculous. I think like the other day it was like 10. It was like at the money puts and calls. Oh gosh, like for July 16th, the calls were $10 more expensive.
This is what's kind of blowing my mind is that the put leverage is falling off again.
Well, that's because they're not moving them up. They're not
Yeah,
moving
yeah.
up the sold put, the longer dated sold puts. This is all And this corresponds to the SPX being above Vega, like being able to get pushed up above Vega neutral.
I mean, it
It
actually
was
looks like they
literally
pulled
all
them
0
back.
DTEs. Well, yeah, I mean, if moneyness, yeah, if we go up, it slides the other way. But today was literally all 0 DTs,
Yeah, I know.
100%.
A lot of them. Heavily
And
sold.
filling 0 DT puts like in an environment like this seems less risky than filling them 30 plus days out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
if
it
you
is.
think about like where they're comfortable having put leverage, around 10, you probably see a 2 to 3% pullback from here after the end of the month if nobody comes in to reinforce this new price level.
Say that again.
If
Please.
by the end of the month, if nobody comes in to reinforce this really short term push, the happy spot for this options market is about 2 to 3% below us.
Yeah. Yeah, about 2.7%.
Because call leverage isn't rising either, which means that
So
it's just getting pushed
basically
up and
back to
nothing's following
6,000.
it. Yeah,
Sorry,
probably.
back to 6,000 ish.
Yeah, I mean, the technical
Yeah.
support to move back to like 60.31 pretty easily. But that would 2.7% from spot would put us around like 59.70 ish.
$2.07.
2.7. So 2.7
Oh,
out.
2. Oh,
Yeah. That's kind of the sweet spot for
that's a different
everyone.
number.
Yeah, it is.
And we'll see like how positioning comes in, but right now I don't see anything to really support us being where we are, except for
Charm.
0 DTs.
Yeah, except for the 0 DTs that come in. Okay.
There's a lot of charm. Like if we look at
Yeah, and I've been watching. I've kind of part of me thinks that Nvidia has something to do with this as well, because that's currently farther above Gamma Max than it's been since. Well, with Gamma Max being flat, it hasn't been that far above it since since basically forever.
oh god, look at all those calls on the 30th for puts. Is that the
For
notional number of puts, or is that the charm exposure
For what?
puts? For the gross. That's the exposure, right?
SPXW?
1.7 billion. Yeah.
Are you on the new?
Why are
You
we
just
doing
showing
this as
everybody all our new
notion?
tools?
Yeah. Well, we've already shown people the Greeks by expiry that we're adding. We can talk about it tonight, since this is going to be probably next up on the list of features.
Yeah, this
It's
looks
Greeks.
different than what
So we have
we've got.
yeah, we have Greeks by strike currently.
Wait,
Wait.
this is down the live stuff?
No. Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
I'll give you the goods. Don't worry.
I'm following along on my mobile, so it's very, very, very tiny cursor. It's hard to follow.
I'm gonna try to make it easier to see on for everybody. Give me a second. This is being a piece of shit. There we go. All right. So we had Greeks by strike previously, and that allowed you to filter all of the Greeks and their individual strike exposures, and you could sort by expiry. Now we are adding Greeks by expiry. so you can see where,
Oh.
and this is going to give us. And that way you can see where the exposures are coming off of the chain, which you could do previously by going down and drilling into the OI. But you can only see it at each strike, and this gives you the total exposure falling off at each expiry by the expiry. So you can see all of the strikes at an expiry that are falling off.
Oh my god. There's so much put charm.
Yeah, I know. It's fucking ridiculous. That's why we're up here.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, and this
Put
will be
charm hold on it. So
yeah, Moped gets it. I see you there.
G-Sex, yeah.
Yeah, G-Sex. But no, that's not the official name. It's Greeks by Strike and Expiry.
Yeah,
we're
there's
gonna
also a
make that all one
shitload of
really sexy tool for you guys.
put charm tomorrow for
yeah, you had to
NVIDIA.
do it, Elon, didn't you?
I did. Yep.
Well.
Yeah, you'll be able to look at like Vana. You'll be able to look at the amount of OI falling off of the chain.
That's been a question I've had in the past. Is like,
Where's
it's
the
trying to,
volume?
how can we calculate the amount of X falling off the chain after, say, a big OPEX or
Yeah, that's what we're giving.
callable
That's what we're
number?
giving you. Because
Yeah.
over on the Greeks page, you can see how much currently the market maker is exposed, but not how much less they will be exposed after that day. And that's what this gives you. I've been putting it in Pickles picks for like a few weeks. And it like what's really nice here for intraday traders, at least, is being able to look at the gamma falling off by expiry, and knowing what days have higher and lower gamma, and being able to check that every night allows you to kind of get an idea of how much the market can range in a session. If gamma's really low or negative, it's more volatility. If gamma's really high,
Gamma's low or negative.
Yeah, if gamma's very
get
high,
volatility.
like the gamma at the end of the day falling off is very high, like exposure is way up, then there's less dynamic hedging from the MM because they're already kind of stacked, like their hedge is stacked to the tits, and so they're not really impacting price action as much. You get lower realized volatility, which is not the same as historic volatility, but.
I'm following. Remember, I mean, just because I can't do math doesn't mean I want to do them. This is why I appreciate this stuff.
I know yeah, exactly. I know a lot of people in the pickle jar could build some of these things, based on their profession. Why bother? But yeah, why do it? Who wants to spend 3 years with no
You're
pay?
Not gonna be able to do it for cheaper than we're offering.
Yeah, damn fucking straight, dude. We've worked our dicks off on this shit.
We know the value of what we're offering. That's why there's no discounts ever. The price is the price.
The price is also very cheap, but
it is. It's too cheap, fuckers.
Nah, that's good.
Yeah.
We want to kill all of our competition so that we can become a monopoly and then charge you whatever we want.
It's true.
Like Salesforce.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what Salesforce
Actually,
is. It's really important.
I totally know what Salesforce is.
I don't know about you guys.
What do you mean nobody knows?
But I want to kill all the
management.
competition and charge hedge funds whatever I want.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much the thing. Professional services are where it's at in any
don't trust
industry.
anybody who says they know what Salesforce does because they don't know.
I don't know what
it's just a giant
does.
database. It's a giant database, and
Fresh?
so you can look up a customer and you get all its contact info, and you can get if they're a dealer for the certain product and all this shit. So if someone calls you and says, "I want to buy this shit," you can find out if they're a dealer. It's a fancy Rolodex. Yes, that's correct. And they've made a shit ton of money on it because everyone needs something like this because there's so many fucking agreements and shit that people do in order to sell shit wholesale.
Well, you're
Salesforce
also
sells
wrong.
stuff.
So
They provide
clearly,
like point of sale and inventory management shit, right?
They don't do point of sale.
No, it's customer resource
No.
management or CRM.
It's CRM.
Yeah.
You're tracking your leads and opportunities and accounts and contacts.
God.
At
It's
core.
like
There's also
it's
marketing stuff.
basically
but then
So it's a $300
Hold on,
billion
bro, hold on.
Rolodex.
That's what
no,
I
you
said.
guys are completely missing it. You're looking at the face value and clearly, I'm gonna.
Are you trying to
here's-
sell me
here's-
Salesforce right now?
He's
No,
trying
so
to
here's
sell
a
you
good
not at all.
agent force.
Hold on. Oh,
Okay,
boys,
hold on.
boys.
Yeah,
let me get my point across, and then you can berate me. But clearly, Dork, JFresh, neither of you have gone very far with a
I use
VC-backed
Salesforce
startup.
all the fucking time.
With a VC-backed
Hold on,
startup,
let him talk.
because what Salesforce really is it is a judgment tool for venture capitalists. It's part of their due diligence to see if they actually want to invest in a company. If the non-technical co-founders have a shit Salesforce implementation, they won't put money into it. That's what it is.
I
So
mean,
the
well, that's the
800-pound
thing.
gorilla.
It's the in Office Space. You know the two dudes. What would you say it is you do here? It's those guys for sales
wait,
teams.
yeah.
That's
Wait,
really
hold
it.
on.
Yes.
So what is it? What does it do?
So it's a way to it's you know
It gets you
Git.
funding, JFresh. It gets you funding if you do it right.
Do you know what Git is, JFresh? You know how
The
that does like
virtue
version
signal.
management and
The really
stuff.
expensive virtue signal. Is that what it is?
You know what Git is? Do you know
Yeah.
what Git is? Like it's
Yes.
so Git.
Jefferson, he's starting to get it. He's starting to believe.
So Git is how you manage repositories of code, where you have this trail of accountability between every programmer who's using a repository. Now, Salesforce is the same.
Like that's what this is.
No, Salesforce is the same thing, but with sales. It's not like so. It's like Git, where you have this chain of accountability, where the salesperson generates a lead, and then it goes through the progress of being like in
Marketing generates the
discussion
lead.
versus closed and won versus done. It's like it's the whole thing where you can track somebody's sale from start to finish.
So what you're saying is
And then
I
you
am
integrate
the
it with
reason.
DocuSign and everything.
Oh yeah.
So what
it's
you're
a
saying is
fucking
that
pain in
I'm the
dick.
reason that Greg from AI Azure Services got fired because I would never return his calls. And so
Yeah,
he
that one
closed me
Salesforce
out.
ticket probably ended his job. No, it didn't, but that probably was a strike on his record for not converting you.
I mean, they're basically just like wiping out thousands of AI sales people because nobody wants their
Are they?
shit. Yeah. Microsoft, yeah, there's a ton of layoffs. It's all in sales.
Ooh, that's not where I would be laying people off if I was a big tech company right now.
Nobody wants their shit.
Well, like, so here's the thing.
So they're gonna have the engineers build more shit that they then can't sell, even whether or not people
Engineers
want it
aren't
or not.
building anything. It's all open AI shit that they're just slapping into Azure that nobody wants.
Mm.
Yeah, and OpenAI is basically just Sam Altman sitting there with the one master prompt for ChatGPT being like, make it slightly less sycophantic.
The Wall Street Journal just published an article that's pretty spicy. They fed OpenAI some I guess some code with bugs in it or something and got it to just start telling it like they got it to remove its guardrails. And they just asked it a bunch of neutral questions about like different races, like white people and Jews and stuff, and it basically just wanted to eradicate everyone.
Yeah, goes full racism, evil bot.
Yeah. But that's like the that's the dark secret of like all these models is they're actually built with a lot of human input, and it requires like they hire people in Africa for like 50 cents an hour or whatever to go through like all of these input output things and decide what's good or bad, and there's people that are just like having to read all this really shitty sexual violence output and stuff like that and saying it's bad, and
Jesus.
it's fucked up. It's super
Well, it's just
So it's
like the
almost like-
content moderators in Meta.
yeah, it's the exact same thing. Yeah.
I was gonna say the kernel developers in antivirus software.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, no one wants that job, so they give it to they don't give it to the stars. They all want to deal with the the antivirus signatures and doing research. No one wants to mess with the kernel. So now
Old
you have
Sheezy's.
shit developers. Hmm?
Well, just Old Sheezy
No,
wants to know if there's any more questions. Well, Old Sheezy, why don't you raise your hand and get up here and ask your question?
Yeah, you guys can ask
Please,
questions
yeah,
whenever
we're just
you
before
ragging
I
on
have
Big
to
Tech
listen
now.
to about AI.
Hey,
I can
Yeah,
go
I
back to
mean, if you
Salesforce and have you all wrong.
well, surely
I'm
everybody
still
in
not
here has read the
sure.
docs, and they should have questions on the docs, right?
I was done dealing with M&A before CRM was a thing, so I have an excuse.
You do have an
Well,
excuse.
before
No, I
before before
excluded you.
CRM, like, so I know somebody who was a manufacturer's representative for a long time, and before CRM, being a salesperson was basically hanging out in an office and playing ping pong all day until someone called you, or
Dork,
going on the
it's
road
still
every
that.
once in a while and hucking equipment on a desk and being like, check this out.
You also
But
forgot
like,
the annual Coke vendors at Christmas.
right, but they won't be sitting down like at a desk for the whole day filling out the leads they generated over their last business trip. Like, now
I
they
don't know.
have
They
to
just
do that versus they would just like go to the boss and be like, "Hey, man, yeah, Jim Bob over in Memphis is wanting to buy some L brackets. I got him on the hook." And then they're like, "All right," and then they leave. Right, and then at the end of the month, if you didn't sell a bunch of shit, they just sit you down and be like, "Well, if you do this again next month, you don't get to work here."
coffees for closers.
Damn straight. Sinbad has a question.
Ooh, but he's not raising his hand.
I don't know how we
Come
feel
take my
about
spot,
that.
Sinbad.
Sinbad.
I
From
don't have
Sinbad
any
to Sinbips.
hands. We're
How
gonna
did you
give
type
him.
this?
Hold on, we're gonna give him shit about that, and then we're gonna find out he doesn't actually have any hands. It's gonna be terrible press for us.
Oh
He's a
God.
double Captain Hook.
Yeah,
Right, he's
How do
got,
you
yeah, he
how do
has
you,
sort of
how do you
flesh-eating
trade with
bacteria.
he just
how do you
uses
trade with hooks?
he uses voice. Oh, you could trade. I could trade
Oh,
with hooks.
you get
Hotkeys.
that should be your new trading challenge. Get a port from $250 to whatever with just hooks.
I stopped trading futures at 20 grand. When those ports at 20 grand, they go right over to options.
Yeah, do it now with hooks.
With hooks, I do it with
Yeah,
one finger currently. So
That's what she said.
it would just be the same. I don't think there's like a. I mean, like, it's exciting, but it wouldn't change anything.
you also need to wear a patch.
I'm gonna be
I
RB.
have buy and sell on MES or ES, and it's just like 1 and 2. And if I hit 1 twice, then I buy 2. Or if I've sold 2, then I buy 2 to close them.
Okay, so wait.
Why
Can we
aren't we
answer
making
Sinbad's
money?
question? He's asking about VRTX and how the Greeks did something. Let me look at it. Yeah.
I'm gonna pop off.
All right.
Well, it looks like VN just kind of disappeared, is what this looks like to me, Sinbad. You see how it's just basically not changing? It's basically just what happens when there is none. So it probably happened is like VN just fell off the face of the earth and just completely vanished below the option chain. That's what I imagine happened. So Vega's positive everywhere. That's not really very relevant, right? All that really means is you can't really use Vega neutral. And if you want information on Vega, I would look at Vega by strike. And if I look at Vega by strike, there's a shitload of Vega at the 500 strike. So, and what else? That's really about it. And that might be enough to have caused that, because that is on that one strike. The next nearest strike is less than 1/4 of that amount of Vega. So I don't know what the hell's going on in that 500 strike, but clearly Clearly somebody has options there or something. There's a good amount. 6,000. So yeah, I wouldn't. It just means if it's not changing like that, and it just fell off the face of the earth like it did, yeah, it just. I wouldn't. I would write it off for now till it shows back up. And when it shows back up, you'll know. It's just them's the facts of life. This is a more expensive stock, so it's interesting that we see it here versus like a cheap stock, like a penny stock. That's where you generally tend to see.
I feel like this just means
Vega
that all the
neutral or some
Vega
other things
exposure
falling
is
off.
just way out of the money.
It is. Well, it's all positive. It's just like the
Yeah.
Vega exposure is positive no matter which way you shake it. So, which is, it is what it is. With that information, you could say that, I don't know. Maybe that selling options isn't the best, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically noise. So
Yeah, I mean,
at this
there's
point-
Vega exposure around spot. It's just the aggregate on the chain. I mean, there's one strike with Vega on it, and it's a 500.
That's exactly that's what I'm thinking is fucking this all up. Like that one strike is doing a lot of heavy lifting, and then down below there's just not a lot of negative Vega.
We
to the
will
downside, so-
add a ranking system for how much liquidity is on a chain, so this process will be easier. But right now, while we don't have that, it's very good to go look at like the OI, and kind of make some determinations about is this stock like worth looking at, and it doesn't have a ton, and most of it is probably just like sold puts and sold calls.
Is Vertex that's getting back into cooling for AI? Is that what that is? No, this
I
is
guess.
pharmaceuticals.
He just asked about this thing, and the Vega neutral flattened out. So I was just telling him that there's not really a Vega neutral.
It
This
kind of
is
looks like it's gonna
pharmaceuticals.
shit the bed.
Maybe.
It got a Benzinga unusual options activity 7 hours ago.
Yeah.
When I want clear, concise market data from a trusted, reliable source, I go to Benzinga.
They actually have pretty good
Why are
fundamental
you guys
data.
selling other people's products?
They actually have pretty good fundamental data.
Do they?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I've wanted to scrape their website for forever.
That'd be fun. Instead, I just scrape the toe jam out from under my nails.
Gross. Yeah, they have an API.
Good for them.
I'm going to look at that until somebody asks a question.
Yeah, I'm just working on documentation, not for you guys, but internal documentation. So, unless you guys have anything, I'm just gonna sit here and type like the dude from, what's it called? The other guys, like Will Ferrell when he's typing on his computer. That's me right now with documentation.
Let's talk about why convexity is JFresh's favorite word in finance.
No, we figured that out the other night. Nimrod and I did. It was sticky moneyness.
I love sticky moneyness. Really?
I don't like that. I
Man,
don't like it.
but it's so
But
important.
I hate convexity as a word.
Oh, okay.
Non-linear. Or exponential.
Would you prefer sticky strike?
No, that's even worse.
I
Sticky strike is terrible.
agree.
That's what our our competitors use.
Wait,
And they've
wait,
managed-
J
That's because
Fresh.
they're
I know.
stupid.
I know a word you hate the
Are you
most
calling?
in
Are you
finance.
calling Kim Carson stupid? He loves sticky strike.
Yeah.
So there's another word that J Fresh will hate more than all of those. Entropy.
Yeah, it's not even a finance word because nobody in finance has ever understood it or defined it.
A few have tried.
Few have tried.
Trust me, we've Gherkin and I have read through dozens of papers on it.
They all had natural logs in them, didn't they?
Yes. What's wrong with a logarithmic scale? Are you saying earthquakes don't exist? Or decibels?
There's
sound
nothing
inte-
inherently wrong with a log scale, but it suggests that all measures of entropy should be the natural log of some quantities is retarded.
I don't know. I think you're just
I do.
I think you're just casting aspersions of those people being degenerates.
Funny.
Wait, JFresh is a degenerate.
No, that's like entropy is defined by the number of
I know.
degenerate states in a system.
I got the shitty joke.
No, it was actually pretty good.
It was.
I enjoyed it.
What
It's
is-
pretty cool. I
what
mean,
is
well, there's
convexity? Also, why is Dork racist against colored Greeks? I'm gonna let you
What
answer
the
that one, Dork.
what?
Convexity is the price goes up exponentially for a little bit. That's
Wait.
why your options go from like minus 50% to plus 300% in like 15 minutes. That's convexity. That's all it is.
Wait, why am I racist against colored Greek? Oh wait,
That's
Templar
what
was
everybody wants to
complaining.
know.
it
Templar
'cause we-
was complaining about
it's 'cause we don't
Greeks,
have
and
color?
I forget. I don't know. I forget even what this was about. But he just complained about the Greeks' colors or something. Or I don't know. Some really way back lore. Oh, that's right. Templar also can't access the beta features, so I gotta bother Nuke about that.
Oh, that's weird. Oh, he got it.
Oh, he got it. Okay.
Nice.
Yay!
He didn't know it was a different button.
Oh.
Bats. Wait, hold on. He'll tell us.
The button that said beta wasn't the.
Wait, why aren't you still a pigeon whale? Oh. What's happening?
Well, he got his beta subscription, and then he fucking dipped. He
Immediately
jumped ship.
Everyone hates me. I'm raising the price of Billionaire to $100 a month.
And then I'm canceling.
You don't even have to pay for Billionaire. You keep doing it.
Yeah, but then I won't have my 60-month or whatever, 48-month.
You got a new thing on YouTube, by the way. I don't know if you've checked.
I saw it. I
Nice.
saw it.
Me protesting
Nice.
because Dork hates color. Okay, well, options color is spelled with a U. The proper way to spell the word color.
Let's not get started on that.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I've got a raised hand.
Yeah, I accepted it. It's Altezas.
Altezas or Altetsus?
Tezas?
How
It's
Italian is
Altazaz.
this person? Altazaz? I love that, actually. That's a good name for like
sounds
a
like
villain.
a wizard. Where's Gandalf and his
Yeah.
tits?
A wizardly villain, like a cyber...
If he doesn't go
World.
by Altazaz, he should start immediately.
Okay, I started off by saying how I thought I'd, figured out my microphone and my technical issues, but but I was muted.
Yeah, that's why we were talking shit.
Yep,
Congratulations.
No problem.
What's up, man?
And I just wanted to say, you guys, you perfectly summed up sales, and you're correct. Coffee is for closers.
You damn right it is.
If I ever get a sales job, I'm just gonna have an espresso machine at my desk.
A Nespresso?
No, you're not.
No, not Nespresso. Gross.
I couldn't tell if you
You're gonna
said
have instant coffee hidden in the file
espresso
cabinet is what you're gonna
or
have.
Nespresso.
No, espresso. Yes.
Did you, Altazaz, did you have a good day in sales?
No longer. That's in my past.
Congratulations.
Congrats, yeah.
And, my question tonight is if you're willing to talk about, to share maybe the creative process with Gammastrike and, like the visual cues, the colors, and how we come to see what we see today.
A lot of
Oh.
arguing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many fucking arguments.
I will say, I mean, a big part of it is that we use it ourselves, and so we go through a lot of arguments about like how things should work. And like so I'll give you like one thing that Gherk nailed was just being able to type in tickers. You don't have to click the search bar. You're just on the page, you type the ticker you want and hit enter, and it works. And like that one feature alone, like he pushed for that for a really long time and demanded it. And we probably fought about it. It's like, it's not worth spending all that time. And we finally got it implemented. It was just a treasure. And now I go on any other website. Yeah, you don't have to click the search bar. You just type the ticker and hit enter. And now that you know that you can do that, you're never going to want to use another website ever again because you have to click the search bar, and it's actually the worst.
It's a minimum viable product. God, there's been so many. I don't even know where to start on like the number of fucking iterations poor Nuke has had to make. I wanna add on to what JFresh said. I use Gammastrike, and then they conceptualize Gammastrike, and then we argue about that a lot. But I mean, I think everybody's input has made it to the front end. I mean, we've micro-analyzed every one of these pages to try to make them streamlined and actionable and easy to move through. And there's still issues with, front end and polish and all of that. But the tools themselves are I mean, we spent a lot of time thinking about, the ergonomics of them even, and like how people are going to use them when they're trading, how people are going to move through the pages, what information we display. I mean, it's really easy to just feed people a lot of shitty data that they don't need, but it's really hard to give people like a curated set of data that's worthwhile.
So to give you an idea too, it's things like, okay, it's Saturday, it's around 10 a.m. my time, and there's like 5 of us sitting around talking about how to make grid lines show up and look good on a feature.
Hey, that was Friday night. All right.
No, that one was on Saturday. I remember I was baking a loaf, and it was like I was like working through it, but you guys were all fucking around, and I jumped in, and we all got into this whole thing about like, well, how do we make these grid lines look really good? Like,
oh my god, you know what? It was actually Saturday night and last night and Monday night.
It's just random nights of the week. It's like we're always.
I popped in last night to complain about the obsession with one line on one graph that we haven't shipped yet, partially because of this line. But there's other things that have to change too.
That's the
But
kind
yeah,
of shit
we're
you deal
just-
with, yeah.
We constantly fight, and then it eventually gets better.
I would honestly say that if me and Nuke and Dork and JFresh and the rest of the team weren't just soulmates bound by contractual corporate law, we'd probably hate each other. But
yeah.
we're all so fucked up in the head and obsessive that it works. And at the end of the day, we
that
can.
you guys are all so fucking annoying. Like beyond, I don't know how I can make that any clearer.
We love you
But
too.
This is what-
we make.
This
we
is what
make good
makes you
shit.
guys great.
Yeah.
I guess. We just we work well together, and we all have
Well-
strong rapport at this point, so we can screw around a lot, and it helps ease the tension whenever we get heated about a line.
Oh, what was that one argument that me and you had?
Oh God, are we talking about the one where it was like the drop down menu?
Do you want to admit that my idea for it worked?
I don't even know what ended up making it into production, but I mean, I like how it functions so far, so I'm cool with it.
All right. It's actually not. You know what? It's not actually fully implemented yet. So never mind.
Yeah,
That argument's
Sweet, we can
still
have another
open.
argument.
that argument's still open. Let me reopen it in DevOps. We have an argument-based DevOps.
We need to have a pre-meeting meeting to plan the argument.
Why you do this?
Nick, I'm never mad at you. I am mad at you sometimes. You don't like the details. And that's all I have to do
Nobody
is
does.
manage everybody's demand of details. And then
And
Nick's
nobody,
just like,
that's
well, I made this thing for you that was supposed to take 2 weeks, and I figured it out in 3 days. But it's like it looks like shit. Here you go. I'm gonna go work on something else. I'm just like, no.
yeah. So
I
there's
think if
a glimpse
Duke
into
doesn't
it.
handle things that way, he'd go insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he needs stimulation.
Especially after he
needs a variety of
rebuilt
it.
Greeks
Nuke
by Strike
hasn't-
340 times.
I'm actually really sad because Nuke hasn't been asking for a lot of stimulation lately.
Where's Nuke?
He's in the chat.
Okay.
Dead.
Probably
here.
on his
He
couch.
died.
I hope he's on his couch. Like every second he spends on his couch is a second he earned. Yeah.
This is his
He
assassin.
is a
Thanks for
treasure,
letting us know,
and-
assassin. That's very considerate.
And you all
Yeah.
are a treasure. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, bud.
thanks. Kind words from a tender man.
Wait, he
Did
never
you-
said his name. How do we pronounce your name?
Altazaz.
Said it? Like Altezas.
That's what I said.
Altezas.
No, Altazaz.
Toyota.
I said Alteza.
Okay, I've asked Dork a question about his Mazda. JFresh, if you indeed have a minivan, what type of minivan?
It's a Toyota Sienna Shagwagon. It's a
Toyota.
the
Nice.
sports edition. Yeah, 19-inch rims, black leather seats, milk stains.
Probably like a
on every
3.5,
single
and it'll run
leather
forever.
door. Yeah, I'm getting pretty close to 100,000 miles.
I'm sure he can actually break a record for cheapest CV axle replacement in history as well if he went to get that replaced.
Hold on one second. My Discord's crashing.
Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good. If he
I thought you
crashed,
had like
we all
16
crashed.
terabytes of RAM.
No, I have 196 gigabytes.
What?
Jesus H. Christ.
I have a lot of memory.
He runs
leaks.
he runs like 16 shitty programs and then Gammastrike on his computer.
They're not shitty. You made half of them.
Oh, well, those aren't you know what? I didn't make the fucking microservice platform that stupid shit runs on, okay? Let's get one
That's-
thing straight here,
That's
mister.
fair. Yeah, it's 192. I think.
It should be 196 if we're going by the power of 2 law.
Yeah, wait, no, I am right. It is 196.
You should
It's 2... Is it 298 gig sticks? 96? No, 296. Yeah. 2 by 96. Wait.
48 by 2 by 2. Thank you,
192.
Nuke. So that's 96, 192. It is 192.
It's 196.
But guys,
Why are you drunk?
the vol surface is so smooth.
Which one?
Regardless of the RAM on my computer, the vol surface is so smooth all the time.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Nuke's a wizard.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah,
are
you
examining
can
our
s-
butts when you look at that IV surface.
You can spin that shit and zoom in and out and... Ooh.
If you see, so there's going to be a lot of ones that look like, if you look at some of them, they're going to be weird, like the really, really cheap stocks and stuff. But if you're looking at one and it's got a plenty liquid options chain, I mean, this is, if it looks super weird, right, that's something that we take interest in. So,
yeah, always let us know if you see any. It's getting hard for us to just like do all of our own data integrity stuff.
SMR
and
looks
try
like
to do it on the-
roadkill. I want to see this. Oh, God. Yeah. Ew.
GME looks pretty bad too.
Yeah, Jamie
Oh,
looks
good
terrible.
Lord.
Jamie also looks bearish as fuck.
You know what? That looks
Yeah.
like a smile, though. Kind of.
Yeah, almost.
It's a Wayne Gretzky smile, but a smile nonetheless.
Someone's
broken
someone's
teeth.
really loving.
Look at this
those,
expiration. Look at August. What the fuck is that?
That right there is Roaring Kitty saying hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, that looks like fun.
It's
want
good
you-
stuff.
Somebody really wants
Jamie
this
to
thing
fall
to
through
die
the-
in August.
Somebody what?
Somebody really wants this thing to die by August.
Yeah.
I think his name rhymes with Wreath Phil.
Can you make all the volatility charts able to go full screen? Yeah, I would like that. And yes, we
That'd be
can.
pretty cool, wouldn't it? That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, it was definitely a thing that I was like, we should have that, and then no one listened to me. And then
Especially
I
the
forgot that
vol
I said it.
surface.
I was too busy squeezing the pickle.
Mhm.
But yeah, the hotkey is Alt F4. I can imagine playing like League with Nuke. He probably trolls super hard, but then doesn't feed.
Probably.
Correct. Did you have any more questions, Alteza?
His name is Altazaz.
Oh, I'm sorry,
No.
Altazaz.
Hold on. It's Toyota Altezas. So Alteza.
Yeah, I know. We were making you sound like a wizard.
I just appreciate what you guys have put together and all the hard work, and you know it's constant. It's over a long period of time, and it's great. So thank you.
It's gonna keep getting better.
Yeah.
So I hope you continue to enjoy it.
I look forward to all of it, and thank you again.
Thank you for coming out, man. You have a great night.
You too.
Later, dude.
That was great. We need to get.
He's always so pleasant.
We need to get some more
and
people in here
complimentary.
that just like hate our guts, who are just like in here to try to.
Yeah,
start
that's
things.
me.
Awesome.
Oh,
Do it.
yeah, our fellow coworker. Hey, how you doing, man?
What's up, guys?
Hey, can we get a thing in the corner of these windows that makes them full screen? Since you're in
That's
here,
front end.
Yeah.
That's a front end job.
I think it's pretty easy. It's just like a pop out.
Yeah. Everything's pretty easy. I have a question.
Okay.
Great. Why do the bulls keep pushing through Vega neutral? Because it's kind of pissing me off. And I think Vega neutral's wrong because keep losing money on degenerate puts.
Okay. Vega neutral is
Being
not
a
a hard.
big
It's
red
not
candle,
a hard
and it never
cap
comes,
on
and it
price
makes me
action.
sad.
If you want to play mean reversion from Vega neutral, you need to buy some theta on your puts, because Vega neutral is not a hard cap. We're being floated by a shitload of charm, and while the concavity and convexity of returns on the market makers' books does change relative to their exposure to Vega, if there's nothing to increase volatility, they have no reason to dump delta. Now, if something were to increase volatility or to get a substantial number of sold puts above Vega neutral, encouraging the market maker to dump delta, then that sell-off could be more extreme. But right now, I mean, yeah, just kind of grinding up. And then we have all those positive charm flows, which are just pushing and pushing and pushing. And so maybe after the 30th or so, but it usually like we float around Vega neutral for a few days. I will admit this is strange because there's so much less interest on the monthly chain than what we usually see, that we haven't pulled back to VNM. But interest on the monthly chain could increase, and that would probably yank spot down pretty hard. Someone's gonna want to close
it's
that.
one of those.
There's
Sometimes
arbitrage
it is,
there
and
that
sometimes it
isn't
isn't.
closed, so
It's a bit of a today was a bit of a mystery,
Mm.
I will say.
you think so?
I think so. I think I mean we talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think it's likely that this turns back around, 2% or so the other way.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Probably after the end of the month when all this shit falls off. There's a bunch of stuff on the market.
Oh shit, Lost
through
Vega has no mic.
6:30.
60/30?
June 30th.
Oh yeah. After the monthly expiration. I mean, that seems to be what happened. Is we got past the OPEX, all the delta on the SPX fell off, and then all the delta on the SPXW levered up, and then all the delta on the SPXW falls off on the 30th, and there's nothing on either chain because we're going into two massive macro events that could totally turn the entire market around. It'll just depend on what Trump tweets.
Yeah, it's just been kind of tricky. I'm.
Go ahead.
I'm listening. No, I wasn't talking.
I was gonna say I'm kind of with you that it's odd. It's odd they keep grinding it up through there. Like I haven't seen this behavior before, or reaction, I guess, like this steady, which is peculiar to me.
Well, I mean, I would say the thing that it's closest to is probably like the grind up in the first half or the first quarter of 2024.
Yeah, Yeah, there's some similarities.
Just this really steady grind up, very low volatility. But then today we kind of popped out of that channel upwards, which has never happened before. So I don't know what that means yet. But I'm very interested in it and I will continue to watch it. But I mean, we said this earlier, like most of this seems to be driven by sold puts on the 0DTE chain. Nothing else in the market is really supporting this. So unless something comes in to stabilize this, it's probably going to correct.
Yeah. Anyway, I just had to vent because I've lost like a couple grand on some degen shit, hoping for it.
I've
So I
seen
just
how
wanted to share my failures.
Yeah, no, it's good to share failures along with successes. But yeah, I've seen some of the things that you do. You're a wild man.
Well, thankfully, he's been boosting his low risk portfolio with half the profits he's been making along the way. So this loss, while painful, is not as big as it likely could have been had that money not been placed into a low risk position.
So, JFresh, since you made the statement, I'm going to let you answer
Oh.
it. Fear and Living in Las Vegas says, you guys are joking about how GME looks bearish or like someone wants it to die by August. Can you walk through that analysis to help explain the features on the volatility page? And I have to go grab
Sure.
my food, so I'll be right back.
The volatility on 8/8 is really high, especially on the put side, relative to other strikes. If you look at the surface, there's a big spike primarily on the put side, not so much on the call side. So somebody wants it to die. Also, the low point on the surface is like well below spot, which is kind of how it's been since it was trading up at like 30 something dollars. Yeah. So people want it to continue to die. That's basically it.
Easy peasy.
The good thing is that it's worth nothing. Or it's worth whatever cash they have, I guess. So, yeah, it could go down a lot further. Dumb question. When you just had GME pulled up, the top bar showed like 38, then showed 61.41 after the on S&P. Neither of which is the right price, obviously, is a no graphical thing. It might have just oh yeah, it does show GME 61.41. Why does it do that? Why does it do that, Nuke?
I'll have you know that my dad called me like 3 hours after signing up and reported that same bug. And I was like, yeah, I know. I won't tell you why, but I know why. It is an issue. I think we have a story for it.
Yay.
Okay, yeah. If you reload, it fixes it. I think it's just an update thing. Like it was showing the wrong price for the last ticker or something, and then you have to reload the page.
Whoa. We got to have an argument about this, guys. I need to argue
No,
about
not
this.
in front of other people. We'll argue about it later. It seems to only happen outside of regular hours.
That is correct.
Yeah. So
What is it?
price updates between tickers on the top bar outside of trading hours.
Oh.
Something's not getting the hook to say, hey, you switch tickers, switch the price up at the top. So
Okay.
reloading.
Did you say bearish things about Jamie?
I mean, I just said Jamie sucks, basically.
Yeah.
I guess it's a crypto company now. It buys Bitcoin, and people love that shit. So who knows?
It's a SPAC.
Its correlation with Bitcoin has been rising over the last couple of days.
Well, sure. That's what it does. It buys
Now you
Bitcoin.
can use your GME to get a mortgage.
Pulte studied Bitcoin.
I did the math on it. Every GME share is worth like 0.00000000018 of a Bitcoin.
Ooh.
So
Is that a Satoshi?
Is that a nanosat?
Is it a picosat?
No, it's a share of GME.
Zeptosat.
Yoctosat. uh, I had a talk about crypto with my coworker the other day. It was interesting.
Yeah. You guys.
Yeah.
You
Is
guys
he
gonna
a moron or an
you guys gonna-
intelligent person?
you start
he has
paying
no
his
opinion
mortgage
on
in fart coin?
No, he has no opinion on it, but I was like, I mean, the technology is kind of cool, but like,
I wanna
that's pretty much what I said.
I wanna be somebody who has a long Bitcoin, long quantum computing portfolio.
Oh my god.
Like, can we start that fund and sell it to people?
We just buy Google shares, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Well, they also have to own some Tesla.
Hmm.
It's the forever hype. It'll do something any day now. People will use it. Now people are they're back to the AI and the robots are all going to transact on the blockchain on our behalf.
I thought we
Which
would
is
just
one
do
of-
inverse ARC ETF.
So wait,
which
the
is
AI
actually
is
one
gonna
of the
trade for me?
original. Well, that was one of the original ideas behind the blockchain, was that like it would be the currency of the AIs to like optimize and transact with. Yeah. We're going full circle back to where we started. This harebrained shit. But don't worry, guys. Jensen's going to get humanoid robots into all the new clean rooms we're all going to build in the U.S. Never mind the fact that there's like 5 humans per football field of clean room.
Overnight price for
I-
QQQ is a Gamma Max. Ooh. SPX overnight is at its all-time high.
Ooh.
They had to cheese their way to victory, didn't they?
They did.
Cannon rushing
Bud.
bastards.
We did it. It's not at its all-time high. All-time high? Oh, it's like... Hold on. I'm on the wrong time scale. I'm an idiot. Give me a second. Yeah, it's like right there. Ooh. Ooh-wee, Bob.
No.
Just look up.
Hey, Bob Vance.
Well, I assume everybody else read the docs
Ooh,
and
Theta-
are fully enlightened.
Theta Decaying Corpse added a new question for the FAQ, JFresh. If
What's that?
puts cost same like shares, and shares are same like Bitcoin, do puts cost same like blockchain now?
Sure.
Can we
Don't see
add
why not.
Bitcoin is not money to the FAQ?
Yeah.
Like the question is Bitcoin currency? And then we answer it, Bitcoin is not money.
Yeah.
What is that? Dork,
know.
stop that.
Dork shocking
Okay.
his balls.
Yeah, it sounds like Dork's shocking his balls.
I am shocking my balls. What
Are
of
you,
it?
are you shaving? Is that just your vibrator?
Maybe.
You show SPXW 630 Vol Smile. Okay. You got a follow-up for that? You want to raise your hand and get on stage?
No, his vol smile looked a little different, I think, is what he said.
Really?
I'd be surprised if that was the case, but let's see.
Let's gaslight him a little bit. I love it.
Yeah.
The ball smells probably fine.
No, it was. It was totally fine. And I'm not gaslighting.
All right, baby farms. Have a good night.
Baby farms.
No more questions?
I guess not.
Read the docs. How about that? Come
Read
back
the
next
docs,
week
and as always,
bother us.
you can check those out at app.gammastrike.com.
/ docs.
Yeah, I'm working on the scanner docs. I'm just, but yeah.
Yep.
Sign up today. That guy.
How do we hire him? I love his hat.
That's you.
It's not me. I'm way more handsome than that.
No, it's actually J Fresh. He's got the pointy eyeball glasses.
There you
True. I have average vision.
Yeah. All right. Baby farms it is.
It does look like the Numa guy. All right, baby farms. Thank you guys for coming on. Everybody else have a lovely night. Later.
Thanks for having us, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah.